Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about what's become almost a worst-case scenario Brooklyn Nets season for me. But before we get started, really quickly, if you enjoy the NBA, then consider subscribing. I upload basically every single day. Okay, so this is a video I've been kind of rolling around for a little while, and it seems a little bit more timely now based off some of the events of last night for the Nets. Quickly, though, let's talk about some things that I thought about this team as a fan before the season. Here's a list of things that I had hoped for this season in terms of looking forward, obviously, to next year when Kevin Durant comes back. What did I want to get out of this season? Here's the list. Improve upon last year's record. Probably not going to happen. Get more postseason experience. Playoffs are not a guarantee. Get everyone used to a role similar to what it'll be like next year. I don't think that's been a success either. Develop the key young guys, aka Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert. Up in the air. No weird Kyrie stuff. That lasted about 20 seconds. And lastly, stay healthy. And as of last night, that last point is in pretty serious question. Now, as of the recording of this video, the extent of Irving's injury is not known. I did watch what's his name? Oh my gosh. The basketball guy that does all the injury stuff. I completely forgot what his name is. I watched his video, and it seems like he's pretty certain that it isn't going to be like a ligament tear, or at least if it was a ligament tear, it's pretty likely that the team would have released that information by now. As of the recording of this video, there has not been any other formal announcement on what the knee injury could be, but I'm sure later today there will be one. But regardless, it's not a good sign for a guy that has a history of knee as well as just leg and injuries in general to be experiencing another potentially serious knee injury going into a season next year in which we're going to need him to be healthy. Definitely not a good sign at all. And even if it isn't, a complete ligament tear, even if it isn't anything like an ACL and MCL tear, it's still pretty likely that if it's anything remotely close to serious, that they're going to hold him out for a long time and even potentially the rest of the year, because you don't want to risk bringing him back, him playing in the postseason, and then actually tearing his ACL in, later on in the year to the point where he won't even be able to come back until like the All-Star break next year. But getting back to some of the other things on the list other than just the Kyrie injury stuff, this affects, the rest of the roster in a different way as well, because as I said, one of the things that I was really hoping for out of this year was not only that the team would be better, which I thought talent-wise they definitely had a chance to do, but that everybody would get a chance to at least be in a role similar to what they're going to be in next year, specifically the multiple talented scoring guards that the Nets have. Kyrie is going to be Kyrie. You're not really going to be able to change his game at this point in his career. But guys like Karis LeVert, guys like Spencer Dinwiddie, and then Jarrett Allen, who we'll get to a little bit later, I wanted those guys to fully understand, hey, this is how it's going to be when KD comes back. You're not going to be getting 20 shots a night on most nights. You have to take advantage of the opportunities that you get, attacking closeouts, being efficient in ball screens when you're coming in, either off the bench as a whole or just playing with bench units. When KD and Kyrie are not on the floor, only one of them is on the floor. This is going to kind of be what your role is going to be like. But because of the Irving injury stuff and LeVert's own injury issues, that hasn't happened, and for months at a time, Spencer Dinwiddie has had to carry this team offensively, and that's not what I hoped for out of this year, because I really think that he's a valuable player, and I don't want it to become a situation where he realizes, hey, like I can do this every night for a different team. Why would I stick around in Brooklyn? Even though by all reports he still seems happy, and he was one of the primary guys that recruited Kyrie in the first place. And then similarly to that, another point that I made in the beginning was that I wanted the younger guys to develop, LeVert and Jarrett Allen specifically. And I already talked about LeVert. For him, it's mostly about injuries, as it has been for most of his career. When healthy, when given the opportunity, he's a very, very good young player. Just depends on whether he's actually on the court. And then there's the Jarrett Allen thing. And I knew that this was a very, very distinct possibility coming into this season with the introduction of DeAndre Jordan, which I understood at the time from a recruiting standpoint, but from a basketball standpoint, didn't seem to make a lot of sense. And they've kind of gone back and forth on who the five is. At least in the beginning of the year, they did a lot. Allen hasn't had a bad season, but there definitely could have been more development from him, and I think that the DeAndre Jordan thing is holding him back. Now, if you're sacrificing a little bit of Jarrett Allen development because you're bringing DeAndre Jordan because that gets you Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, every single team in the league would do that every single time, but still, it's a concern and something that I had hoped would be remedied this season pre-KD, and that's just not happening. And then to add on to all of that, at this point, the playoffs are not guaranteed in what's a very weak Eastern Conference, at least at the back end, and that is such a huge disappointment for me, because even understanding the possibility that there could be some Kyrie issues coming into this season and him in a new environment and him just not saying the correct things publicly and causing issues internally, as we saw in Boston and at times in Cleveland as well, I knew that would be a possibility, but I also thought that this team was so talented that they could potentially get to like the 5 or the 6 seed in the Eastern Conference if plenty of things went right. But as of right now, it doesn't even look like the playoffs are a guarantee, as I said. Now, I still expect them to be there, even if Irving misses the rest of the season. Guys like LeVert and Dinwiddie should be able to provide the scoring punch, and there's plenty of other talent on this roster like Taurean Prince, Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan, other guys like that, Joe Harris, that are going to be able to bring this team to a postseason appearance, at least in my opinion. But the fact that we're at this point in the year and it's not a guarantee, it's not a guarantee for pretty much any team around the league, but still, I'd hope we'd be in a better position and improve upon the record from last year. And that was more of a perception thing than anything else, because there's this idea that the Nets gave up on D'Angelo Russell, a much younger player, for someone like Kyrie Irving with injury issues, a little bit older, and then this Kevin Durant combo. And in this first season, if the Nets ended up not having as good of a record as they did last year, that would somehow mean that they made the wrong decision in bringing in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which just isn't true. If you're straight up trading Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving for D'Angelo Russell, you're making that trade every single time, and they still made the right decision by bringing in those guys, even considering D'Lo's age. But it just would have been nice if the team had finished with like 45 wins this year, with a slight improvement from the 42 that they won the year before, just for the perception around the league as well as of other fan bases, where they can say, oh, these guys actually made the right decision, which is the case regardless. But from the outside, not paying as much attention, it would be more obvious that they made the correct decision. And so in the end, like this wasn't the Nets season that I was hoping for. And I mean, there's plenty of excuses for that, but that's the case for pretty much every team around the league. Yes, there's been plenty of injury issues, but this team just doesn't play well together at times, and it doesn't always look right. And it's a night-to-night thing where if they're making shots and they're moving the ball with or without Kyrie, it looks really good. And then on other nights, the shot making is just not there, the defense isn't there, and everything just isn't brought together collectively. Now, the nice thing is, moving forward, with the exception of Joe Harris, pretty much everybody is going to be coming back and everybody is locked in, including guys like Karis LeVert. The Jared Allen extension is going to be coming down the road as well, I think as soon as this off season. And whatever they do with Joe Harris or Spencer Dinwiddie or whatever, if they want to move around some parts, we'll see before the trade deadline. But at least this is a group that, if they want to, will all be coming back next season. Ideally, Joe Harris comes back as well because of the spacing that he provides. But in a long-term sense, this isn't a situation in which they brought in these 2 big-name free agents. They have all these other expirings, and the team could look completely different next year once KD comes back. That's not the case at all. They've locked up guys with pretty heavy financial implications there as well. But I'm still excited about next year. It's just, this video is about how disappointing this season has been, because I didn't have super high expectations. I didn't think this was going to be like a 50-win team or anything with Kyrie, but I definitely thought it would be better than this. I didn't expect to be this far under 500, and it's just, it's a disappointing thing to see, everything going wrong pretty much. Basically everything that I read on this list is going wrong as it possibly could. And I mean, I guess I should be used to it at this point. I'm wearing my Nets hoodie. I've got my Carolina Panthers shirt under this. I've got my NC State sweatpants on, and I'm pretty much used to disappointment from all my sports teams, both Super Bowls that the Panthers have been in, which is today is Super Bowl Sunday. They lost in a pretty heartbreaking fashion. One year they were clearly the best team in the league and still lost, and then the other year they lost on a last-second field goal in the second Patriots Super Bowl. So maybe I should be used to it at this point, this level of disappointment. But I thought that this Nets team this year and moving forward could potentially be that team that finally gets me that first championship that I've ever experienced out of my major sports teams. And maybe that'll still be the case next year. Still have high expectations for them, assuming KD comes back at like 85 to 90%. I think that they still have the pieces around him and around Kyrie to make this work and to be a really good team and to be a championship contender. I just wish things would have gone better this season. And hopefully this Kyrie thing isn't that serious. It looked really bad, just the injury itself, the knee injury, and kind of the way that he fell, and Bradley Beal fell on him. But again, based off the video that I watched, I apologize. I'm sure I'll put it on screen. I forgot the guy's name, the doctor guy that talks about all the injuries and stuff. It actually seems like it's better that his knee was it wasn't extended, that his knee was flexed, as he termed it. It was bent as opposed to straight out. If it's straight out, apparently it's easier for those ligaments to tear. When your knee is bent, it's not as easy to tear. So it doesn't seem like that's what it is, but it's going to be a pretty significant sprain. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they hold him out until the postseason or potentially the rest of the year, because again, all eyes are on next season, what this team could be moving forward. And hopefully things turn around this year, because it has not been the season I'd hope for at all. But there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.